Hello everybody and welcome back to Orange Track Outlaws. Today we are going to customize this Chevy C10 pickup truck. As you can see, it's in pretty bad shape, pretty beat up, looks like it's been played with. The base is actually put together pretty bad from the factory, but got some pretty good ideas I think are going to look pretty cool on this old truck. I think we're going to turn this bad boy into a dually. So let's get started. So here comes our project here on our custom hauler. What we have here is a Chevy C10 pickup truck. Pretty cool looking casting here. You can see that the base was stuck on there a little bit to the rear, so it's actually a factory error. But pretty cool old truck. It's got the chrome interior. We're going to be tackling that in a little bit. Let's get started taking this thing apart and seeing what all we got to work with. So as usual, first thing we're going to do is drill our post out. I'm going to start with doing a little pilot hole with a smaller drill bit. And we're going to bump up a couple sizes here and try to zip the post heads off. Actually, it's pretty easy with this truck. We're going to take our screwdriver. We're going to try to pop this base off here, nice and easy. Try not to ruin it anymore from the air punch there, but just try to pry that thing off nice and easy. And let's see what we got to work with here. Like I said, it's got the chrome bed and fenders and interior. Not a big fan of that, so we'll be changing that. Windshield is really not in too bad a shape, and our body here doesn't look too bad. We're going to have to strip her down and put some new paint on there, but I've got a couple of plans first. First we're going to do here is file down the post head so it's not rough or jagged and it goes back together nice and easy. So here we are in our body, fresh out of the sandblaster, and as usual, got a little sandblast haze on there. We're gonna take our little wire wheel and clean this body up and see what we got to work with here. If you watched any of my other videos, you know I'm a big fan of the sandblaster as opposed to the paint stripping goo. This makes it nice and easy for me, I guess personal preference and all, but the sandblaster for the most part zips that paint off. You don't got to worry about waiting for all that paint stripping goo and cleaning all it up. This thing goes real quick, but after you put it in the sandblaster, you can wire wheel it, and usually your body comes out looking real good. Takes a sand and that thing's sweet. But what we're going to do here, like I said in the intro, I think this thing's going to look real cool being a dually. So we need to bump our fenders out a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to super glue a couple strips from a pop can in our rear fenders, and we're going to form a deeper fender well with some milliput. I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of videos of this. It's all over YouTube on other people increasing their fender well sizes with the milliput. It is a nice product. It does work really well. It is easy to fold together and work with after it's semi-hardened and with a little bit of water. It does smooth out. Actually, kind of nice. But first things first here, we definitely have to get our tin strips in here to give the milliput something to form to and keep the fender the same size. We're going to keep the rear wheels the same size, so we're just going to add an extra wheel on each side. So we want to make sure that there's enough room to put two wheels in there. So that's the goal. So So once you get your tin strips all super glued in place here, um, it's really not a difficult process, but it can be a little labor intensive, I guess. Just fooling with the strips and get them to form, all the way around the fender. If you don't do that, then you're going to have to get your file out after you get your milliput in there, and reform your shape to the fender well. So now that we got our forms in, what we're going to do is take a little bit of this milliput, which is basically a two-part epoxy putty, basically, and just like all the others, you just mix them together, kind of fold and knead it together until it's a solid color, and then you can start kind of massaging it into the place where you need it to go. In this case, it's the rear fenders, and really a little bit of this stuff goes a long way. I think I actually cut off way too much, but you never know. You never know if something happens. You might need a little extra. So we're just going to, you can see it kind of sticking to my fingers a little bit. If you just keep it moist a little bit with some water, it'll really cut down on that. It does make it a little bit more slippery, but it does make it not as sticky to your hands. So we're going to take a little bit of this and kind of roll it into a little bit of a longer, thinner strip, and start pressing it in place where we want our fender to go, and start trying to mold it to the shape of the form there, the pop can form, and just try to push it all around. And you can see I've got way too much on there, but better more than not enough. We can always get our file out and take this material off after it gets harder. So we're just going to push this thing in place. We're going to try and smooth it out as best as possible. That'll save time filing later. So here we go on the other side, same thing. Press it into place. Try to give it the same basic shape and form there, and try to keep it the same as the other side, so it doesn't look too different from the other side. Even if, like I said, even if you do have too much material on there, you can always file it down and start cutting when it gets to be, when it starts getting to be a little harder. But anyway, I think I got my sides pretty well done. We can just cut the extra off there down at the bottom of the body, and let this thing sit overnight and harden up, and then we can start shaving it down and whittling it down to the right form we want. So first thing we got to do is peel off our little pop can strips, which use some needle nose pliers. They come off real easy. So next thing we're going to do is start filing this sucker down, and get it to the right size. I do have a little piano wire, and I put 2 wheels on here, kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like and kind of how far I want it to stick out. But I think this truck's going to look pretty cool with the dually back end. I've never seen one like it, and I've just been thinking about it as I take a look at this truck. So we're going to make it happen. So what we're going to do is take our cutoff wheel on our Dremel, and if you just push that thing flat up against your fender, it starts, it basically works like a sander, makes it a heck of a lot easier than sandpaper and a file, as far as getting a lot of material off in a shorter amount of time. And it also makes a nice flat edge. as it just starts to give the fender a nice clear shape. But if you have a good round file, it does help to run that thing across the inner the stock fender, just to make sure you maintain your shape and keep continuity all the way across. It also helps to get rid of any extra material that may have pushed through somewhere or got in where it shouldn't have when you were applying the putty. But I'm going to take my base, I'm going to put it on here and do this is going to take a lot of test fitting, but you can see the two wheels fit in there really well. There is a little bit more material I got to take off. I don't want them sticking out too much past the tire, but I do want them to be the tires to be tucked in, not quite flush, just kind of just a little recessed. So we're going to take off a little bit more material and just keep test fitting and get it to where you like it. So another test. We're actually getting pretty close here to where we need to be. You can see there, it's getting close. Kind of like it, but we're going to take off just a little bit more material. Then we'll take our sandpaper and our file and a little bit more water and try to make it as smooth as we possibly can. And with the rotary tool here, it does leave a solid edge line across the top, so we're going to shave that down a little bit and make it look a little smoother. But you can see there that the wheels are just tucked inside that fender just a little bit. I think that's looking good. So we're going to get our file back out and just make sure we have the curve of the fender basically the same all the way around. Make sure it's nice and flat with the body. So here, got my other file out. Just making sure that where the putty actually comes in contact with the body is basically the same width or thickness, all the way across the curve of the fender. Because I did have too much material, as you push that thing down and press it into place, it'll push out the extra material. So you just got to work at it, sanding and filing. It's definitely not the project to be in a hurry with. You gotta just take your time and have a little patience. So I actually had some right here, had some in the groove there. It went up a little too high, so we have to dig that out and then file it back down and make it look good. So I'm really liking how this side is turning out. So here's a look at our body now. We have both sides of our fender sanded down and ready for some paint. First thing we're going to do is start off with a little primer sealer. We have our Autoborn Gray from Createx. We're going to thin that with a little 4012 and start shooting it on here. As usual, first coat somewhat light. Get the paint sticking, and the next couple coats we can start building that thing up, making it look a little bit better. Had to get an up close look at that guy there to make sure I was getting good coverage, but it'll definitely start covering up the different colors, as far as like the body metal color and the middle putt color. It'll cover it, make it look uniform. It's just going to take and take probably at least 3 coats to get proper coverage. And the sealer is also nice in case you do have any imperfections in your putty from sanding or mis-sanding or whatever. The Autoborn sealer primer will fill those in and do its best to make it look like they're not there, basically. So just want to make sure you get this thing, covered up real good, all primed up and all looking the same. Any imperfections covered up. We're going to go in here with one more shot at this primer just to make sure everything's covered and coated well, and then we'll be ready to start putting some color down. My thoughts here were a two-tone, like a slate blue two-tone with some gray, like a grayish blue and a dark grayish blue basically. And I got some new paints in, splash paints. I've been seeing some people painting with this stuff. Wanted to try it out, so we're going to go with this slate blue metallic to start, and we're going to go ahead and paint the whole thing, and then we're going to do a little taping and paint our darker color for the rest of the body. So splash paints, first impression, real nice. They are ready right out of the bottle, which is beautiful. No thinning, no problems. They are lacquer paint, so you do need some lacquer thinner to clean up, but they do spray real nice. Check their website out. They do have a lot of great colors. I bought a handful to try out. You'll be seeing those here soon on some other builds, but I just thought kind of two-tone dark blue on this thing. It's kind of what I had in mind. I think it's going to look pretty cool. So we're going to continue on with our slate blue metallic. We're going to cover this thing. I think we did 3 coats, and it's paint's going on nice, and it looks really good. Real happy with how these paints are spraying and how it's looking. I didn't go too heavy. Definitely didn't let any run, but it dries fast, kind of like the Createx. So here we go with our next color, and we got you can see we taped off our lines here. Basically, that's going to be a stripe down the middle, and we're going to go in here with our darker blue, and we're going to give this thing a nice little offsetting color. It's a real nice looking blue paint. You're definitely going to see this color again. I got some other things in mind for it, but we're going to go ahead and hit this thing a couple times. Same thing with the other color. No need to thin it. I think we're spraying it about, I think it's sitting at about 45 psi right now actually, and we're going to just go in with a couple light coats and then really start trying to lay the color down on the third coat, and it's probably not going to take much more than that. After I get that tape off there, you'll see a nice even two-tone look, and once we get our wheels and our body back on, this thing's going to look sweet. So I think we're getting close to the end here with this guy. Liking how that color is looking, but I'm going to go with I'm going to try and make that the darker blue just a little bit darker, since it's already going to be basically two kind of dark colors. The first color was You know, it was dark, but it wasn't that dark. It was kind of like a lighter grayish blue, and this one's like a darker grayish blue. So I want to definitely have a defined difference in them. We've got our chassis here now. We got all that chrome. Um, Actually, we got this thing painted. We painted this thing black. It was gray. Um, the chrome interior, I did end up putting that in some super clean to strip off, but we're going to need to make some axle tubes here, since since we have to get some custom wheels in here. We had to cut the old ones out, definitely to put the dualies in the back. So um, pretty straightforward procedure here as all the other videos. Cutting the brass tube out to fit, notching the grooves in the super glue, or for the super glue. Basically that's what we're doing here, getting the axles tubes set in place, and then we will be adding our wheels. So as far as wheel choice goes for this, I'm really a fan of this style of wheel. It does come on basic Hot Wheels. It's not Real Rider. Um, I guess for the lack of having a good Real Rider for this look I was going for this truck, I didn't have any. I didn't want to waste any. But having it's not really a low rider look, but having a lowered look with I guess a sportier wheel. Um, I did use the wheels that were already on it. I repainted the rims with some fresh chrome paint. I did find another set of matching ones so I could do the dualies in the back and have matching wheels. So updated the chrome paint on all that, and overall, I know they're not Real Riders, and I think it's okay. I think the finished product's really going to be okay. I think you'll be happy with the look of the wheels. I know since these are one of my favorites, I like it. So you can get a look here at how I did my dually. I did use some of the old school beads that they used to use to put the wheels on. So I put a bead spacer in between the wheels, just to keep them off each other just a little bit, so they didn't rub when they roll, and it actually worked out perfect. They're actually so close you can't even tell that there's that bead in there. You definitely can't see it, but all four wheels, they all spin freely, so it actually worked out real well. So right now we're just getting our axles pushed in, getting them backspaced just a little bit like usual. You backspace them just a little bit off the axle tube so they don't rub against either the tube or the body. You can see there's all four of them on there. They're looking straight. Liking how that looks. We will have to put the fronts on, and basically same procedure. I've already got the one on there. We're just going to add the other one, glue it in place, and our chassis is going to be ready to go. So this is definitely turning out to be one of my favorite trucks. I do got a couple others of this same casting. I may have to try another dually, change a couple things up, but I'm liking how that looks. We are ready for some final assembly here. You can see how our truck turned out without the tape on there. Nice looking two-tone paint. We do have our windshield dipped in floor cleaner. You can see our interior there. I stripped it down. I did leave, I painted the interior gray. I painted the front and rear bumpers chrome. In the bed, I did do some chrome highlights You can see I painted the exhaust chrome and the exhaust tips chrome. So this truck is turning out real nice. I'll be able to show you here in a few seconds after I get this thing screwed together. We'll be just about ready for our reveal. So I really like to thank you guys for tuning in to another custom. I hope you enjoyed it. But before we put our big reveal, we're going to take a quick look at what we started with. The Chevy C10 pickup truck, black. Has the chrome bed, chrome interior. It did have some chrome rims that we're going to bring back to life. Really a good looking casting. This one's just been played with and beat up, and I think we did a great job on bringing her back to life. So here is what we finished up with. We got our C10 dually, got our freshened up chrome rims, painted up bed liner. We got our gray interior with blue accents. We got chrome all over the place, front, back, everywhere. I think this truck looks absolutely amazing now, 10 times better than it did before. I hope you guys agree. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you watching. Please look out for some of my other customs, and if you do have any ideas for me or something you'd like to see me customize, please throw that down in the comments section. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and look out for more. Thanks again, guys. See you later.